This week's Combat is brought to you once again by beer. This is our first field recording version of the Combat beers. I am at the Colorado Rockies Brewfest, the second annual, at Coors Field. Just before the Rockies take on the San Diego Padres. We're in the Coors outfield picnic area, and there are 5 or 6 local Colorado breweries here putting their wares on display for everybody to try. So we're going to go through those, try each one of them, and we'll talk a little bit about them. So let's get started. All right, first up today is a beer from one of our favorite breweries, Odell Brewery from Fort Collins, Colorado, makers of the infamous Mercenary that John can't get enough of. Today I'm trying their Loose Leaf American Session Ale. It's a very light color, very golden, but it's got a nice mellow hoppiness to it. It's a little bit lighter than I generally like in a beer. Let me have another sip here. But it has a very clean finish, and it's really not bad at all. I honestly haven't had anything from Odell that I didn't like, so not a surprise at all that I like this beer too. This is one you could probably drink quite a bit of. It's pretty smooth. It's pretty light tasting. I'm going to say that this is probably going to grant you about a plus. Let's say a +2 to strength, because I feel kind of invigorated drinking this one. It's a nice little beer. All right, we're here at the Brewfest at Coors Field, and I've got Ryan here from Odell Brewing. Ryan, tell us about the beers you brought out for us today.
So we brought 90 Shilling and Loose Leaf. 90 Shilling is our flagship beer, which I'm sure most everybody in Colorado has had, at least I hope.
It's a good one.
It's an amber, 5.3%. Nice, clean, nutty taste, real malt forward, great beer. Loose Leaf is a new year-round beer for us. It's a 4.5% session ale. So basically what we tried to do with that beer was make a beer that was low ABV, but still great flavor. A little bit of hop, mostly on the nose. Yep. Definitely not a bitter beer, though.
No, that was the first one I tried when I came in. That's a really good, really nice beer. Yeah, that was the first time I'd had it.
Cool.
It's really, it's really nice flavor.
We released it year-round earlier this year. I think it's fantastic beer.
Yeah, it's a good
one
beer,
that goes on a warm day like today, too.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, cool. Thanks very much for talking to us, Ryan.
Thank you.
You have a good one.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, next on the list is the Shake Chocolate Porter from Boulder Brewing Company. And man, I am a porter and stout fan, and this is a good one. Really, really smooth flavor. Just a hint of hop bitterness. It's really good, but that chocolate flavor is really smooth and really prevalent. You get the chocolate, you get that coffee flavor that you get with a lot of good porters. It's really nice, but it's got a nice mouthfeel to it. It's really light mouthfeel for a porter. It's really nice. It's a good one. All right, next up on the list is the Titan IPA from Great Divide Brewing. This is a good IPA. It's got that heavy hop bitterness, but it's got kind of that grapefruity thing to it that a lot of good IPAs have. It's really tasty. It's got a nice clean finish, and just overall, it's pretty good. This is probably. I think the hops are going to give you about a +3 to Constitution, maybe a couple of temporary hit points as well, as those hop oils kind of coat your internal organs and protect you, especially from magical damage. So this is going to be a good one if you're in a fight against a big, strong wizard or something like that. All right, I'm also here with Kelly from Great Divide Brewing. Kelly, why don't you tell us about the beers you brought out today?
Of course I will, Bob. We have two here today. We brought our Titan IPA, which is our #1 seller overall. It is a nice. It is. I absolutely concur with you. It is nice, it's balanced, malty, it's got a nice earthy, citrusy, piney taste. Next up, we have the exact antithesis of the Titan IPA, our Colette Farmhouse Ale. It's unfiltered, it is nice and tart going down, brewed with 4 different yeast strains. On a day like today, it's nice, crisp, and refreshing.
Very good. Well, thanks, Kelly, for taking time to talk to us.
You're absolutely welcome, Bob.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next beer up today at the Brewfest is the Snapshot from New Belgium Brewing. This is an interesting beer. It's really light beer. It's got really strong citrus flavors to it. It's not a very hoppy beer. It's got a little bit of a hop underbite to it, I would call it. But it's really citrusy. It's a pretty refreshing drink. It's got a nice mouthfeel and a nice clean finish to it. It's a little more citrusy than I usually like in a beer, but overall it's got a pretty decent flavor. Be good for, after some yard work, or maybe relaxing after you defeat a horde of bugbears, or maybe even owl bears. It's probably going to grant you... It's probably about I'd say this is like a +5 to relaxation if that was a skill. So not a bad one at all. Okay, the next beer on the list, we have a policy at Flagons and Dragons that if you can't say anything nice about a beer, that it's best just not to say anything about it. So we are not going to talk about this quote-unquote porter from Blue Moon Brewing. All right, next on the list is the Dale's Pale Ale from Oscar Blues Brewing again. This is a really hoppy beer. It's got a nice bite to it. It's got probably whatever the opposite of a smooth finish is. It's got a real hoppy flavor that goes all the way through the beer. Obviously, I'm not an expert, and this is my, 7th beer? So, yeah, we're working on it. Anyway, this is a nice pale ale. It's a little bit darker in color than I normally expect out of a pale ale, but it's not bad as far as flavor goes at all. Really nice beer from Oscar Blues. I'm going to say this is probably going to grant you like a -3 to dexterity, but maybe like a +4 to wisdom. So for your spellcasters, this is the beer for you. All right, next up on the list is the Old Chub Scotch Ale from Oscar Blues Brewery. This is a nice Scotch ale. It's got a nice hoppiness to it but not too bitter. It's a nice deep amber color. Really nice mouthfeel, and let me have another sip here. It's got a nice light finish. It's a tasty beer. Scotch ale is another one of my favorite styles, and I think this is a pretty good one. It might be a little bit light, kind of mid-taste for what I like in a Scotch ale, but it's still got a nice flavor to it. This would probably, I'm going to give this like a +1 to all saving throws for as many rounds as it takes you to finish the beer. All right, so a hell of a good day at the ballpark. I'm obviously recording this after the game because my voice is gone. But that's because the Rockies pulled it out in the bottom of the 12th to beat the Padres 7-6. So we had a great afternoon tasting some beers and then a beautiful evening in the ballpark. So the Rockies won their combat. Let's see what our party does. And we now take you back to the combat. Enjoy.